have been putting it off as long as I possibly can. We are almost 2 hours into the stream, and now I'm finally going to talk about Star Trek Discovery. Hello everyone, I am Mecha Random 42, the one, the only, the original, your favorite YouTube consumer advocate, Harpy. Oh yeah, you can tell we're in a little bit of a mood, and I might as well match my thumbnail and go full Harpy early on Star Trek Discovery. What episode is this? Is this 4 or 5? This is episode 5 already. Oh, this episode, I'm gonna put this out there. It feels like they are going out of their way to annoy me. It feels like they are doing it on purpose. It feels like anytime you have something halfway interesting, they want to rip that away from you. So you don't get that, but you're stuck with the most annoying, rude, condescending, horrible character. Oh, he knows what's coming. He knows who I'm going to go off on. He knows who I'm going off on, and it is the very lovely Michael Burnham, played by Sonequa Martin Green. Here's the thing. I'm going to critique this by saying that I would have much rather seen the year on the planet sort of intercut here and there throughout the season, because she spends a year on this planet where she's getting, baked off of whatever. I know it's like to interrogate her, but I can still meme it because I think it's kind of hilarious.
Smoke weed every day.
It's not weed, though. It's just space weed, like pretty much every other woman on the show. Well, Picard was like that, I guess. I would have much rather seen what she was off doing with Book and that mangy cat that they're hanging out with. That's the word we're looking for. This makes me forget words. It's not like it's interesting or they give us anything cool to look at. No, they can't even give us that. I think here's my problem with this season in particular. We have this sort of Wild West space adventure sort of show where Michael Burnham's out, not being very Federation or Starfleet-like. And she learns how to do all that in this year that she's off on this planet that has parasitic ice. Pretty much anything they throw out there is just we're going to throw out this sciencey thing and have no understanding of it. And we're going to make you stop every 5 seconds to go, and grumble and complain. And then we're going to keep going and keep going and keep going. Just think until there's nothing left, right? So you can't think about it. So you can't notice everything that is bad. They should have had her intertwined throughout the season away from the rest of the crew, because anytime she is around the rest of the crew, she is unlikable, condescending, rude. And how dare they write this character like that? You're supposed to give characters some sort of representation. You can't make them these horrible, unlikable, snotty, rude, condescending characters. Now that that's set up, in episode 5, we finally find where the Federation headquarters is, and it looks like a fiber optic sort of telecommunications commercial from 1994. It looks that bad. Seriously, they're all connected. They're floating through space with all of these strings and threads. It looks like a fiber optic network. We see a flash of the Voyager J, and they're supposed to know what the crap that is when they were out before Spock was even a thing, before Kirk was on the freaking Enterprise, back when Captain Pike was. How would they know what the Voyager is? They haven't even found V'ger in the Star Trek timeline as far as these people know. So they're supposed, no, they looked it up on all the registries of the ships, which they wouldn't have had access to anyway, because they still are going on a 1,000-year-old, old, ancient, out-of-date ship, quote-unquote, that can just instantly fly anywhere throughout space and time on a magic mushroom drive that is hooked up to their token gay engineer, who is only there because he's, used for representation, in my opinion, even though he's one of the better characters on the show, who actually has a personality sometimes, even if it is very, very unlikable. They point that out in this episode, too. I'm choking on my own rage and my own fury. They point that out in this episode, that nobody has a very professional work sort of environment and manner. None of them are very professional. They don't have professional attitudes or interactions with each other. So they finally get to like the Starfleet headquarters, and then they're like, oh yes, the Admiral comes in, and I'm trying to place him, I'm trying to place his accent. And I'm very, very distracted by it, but they don't focus on him for very long anyway. They're going to take apart, like, the crew, find places to reassign them. They're going to do all the stuff that you would do to, like, a 1,000-year-old ship. You're going to inspect it. You're going to make sure that they are who they say they are, especially since the Federation went boom in the burn for some reason, even though dilithium wouldn't all explode all at the same time. For some reason, all the dilithium that was flying exploded, except for all these stores that they have here and there on planets and in ships. And also, what about these Borg ships that they were in Picard before this one happens, you know, a few hundred years before the timeline of what we're seeing now happens? They would have disassembled all these Borg cubes and learned how to, I don't know, freaking work transwarp, probably by now. 1,000 years, I mean, it's a long time. Or figured out how to use a singularity, you know, something like that. They would have figured it out. The Romulans did. I'm sure they would have had some Romulan ships floating around since the Romulan star exploded and there was a few of them scattered throughout the damn galaxy. No, maybe they shouldn't have let Commander Sunglasses go from Picard. But anyway, there's all kinds of inconsistencies in their own canon, in their own series, between, like, the two shows that they have. So there's all this inconsistency. We see the Voyager because, remember the Voyager, I remember, blah, 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 yada, yada, nobody cares. So we have the member-berry flashbacks of all the Star Trek shit. Everybody's kind of getting interrogated, but we find out there's this problem that, for some reason, our crew from the Discovery, which is going to be Saru and Michael Burnham. So he's the captain and she's the first officer now. For some reason, the people at the space station at Starfleet headquarters or wherever, this admiral, is showing them this problem with these. They look like regular old aliens, like the ones you'd see, you know, abducting people in their rooms at night. They look like those aliens. They're kind of freaking out. They're getting some medical treatment in Star Wars land because it looks like a Star Wars scene a lot with all the bots and weird holographic stuff. It looks very Star Wars instead of Star Trek. So for some reason, they're aware that, oh, they have this condition. It's altering their DNA. And so why are these two random people even privy to that information? Oh, just so Michael Burnham can go in and be the most unlikable character on the planet in the universe and say, I want to go and do this. I need to do that. But did you try this, this, and this, and this? Guess what? Nobody asked you. They already know what the crap they're doing. They don't need you to come in and save them. Of course they do, because this is Star Trek Discovery, and nobody is competent, no matter who they are, except for Michael Burnham. Even though she oversteps and is the most arrogant, smug, unlikable character ever. So she does get a talking down to. Meanwhile, we get an actual interesting scene that I did like. I did like this scene where you've got this guy with the glasses interrogating Michelle Yeoh's evil empress from the Mirror Universe. This stuff doesn't make sense, but I did like the interaction. I like what they were talking about to each other and how they were playing this giant mental game of chess with each other. And I loved that, and you could see the moves in their head. I am one of those people. I am so not entertained by dumb, mundane, flashy lights and stupid shit. Give me some interesting something to chew on, right? Give me something to wrap my brain. This is why I love Babylon 5 so much. This is why I'm such a huge fan of intelligent, well-crafted things. This is why I like video games and strategy games and stuff like that. Because I like thinking when I'm watching I like something that's entertaining and engaging. This almost got me there for about 2 seconds with this scene between Giorgio, and she's trying to fuck with the holograms by blinking at them. Because there are these holograms interrogating her, and there's a dude with glasses off in the corner watching. So I like it when she's actually talking to this guy, because you can tell that they're kind of about equally as intelligent as the other person. So I liked that, and I liked that he kind of owns her. What I didn't like is the fact that now they can find, oh, all the Terrans have this certain DNA thing, and blah, 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 blah. None of their explanations for Terrans from Mirror Universe people make any sense at all. Remember in season 1 of Discovery, they said, oh, people from the Mirror Universe have a sensitivity to light. That's why everything's dark. Except for they don't, and it's not. And you didn't stay consistent with your own crap, and now all of a sudden, we never see that ever again. So, oh, I just hate so much of this. So that scene was kind of interesting. He actually made her kind of cry and break down. He's like, yeah, there's somebody you're kind of hanging around for. And of course, it's the worst character ever in the whole entire history of Star Trek, Michael Burnham, of course, because everybody's just so in love with her for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe they think she's special and needs special treatment and saving and shit. Because that's kind of how she's written. She's kind of written as a charity case that everybody just tells is wonderful and actually isn't. Because that's how producers tend to see people, at least on this show, and the writers. And the viewers, too. Oh, don't get me started on some of these fans of this. Not like you guys, but... Oh, it's a plot, unless it's not. Oh. So then Michael Burnham decides to insist and demand that she be let loose to go and investigate whatever this thing is that can cure these aliens that are on this random space station. Because I remember out of my ass that we had a ship with a whole bunch of seeds from this other thing, because that might be what they got sick from, because they might have come in contact with this plant somewhere when they stopped and they ate, and I got to go and find this. Even though I will just pull up this memory out of my ass from 1,000 years of history that might not even still be there. Apparently there's this one place that has like all of the seeds of the galaxy, even though such a tiny percentage was even explored, so how would they even have that? They have like... it was so lame. It was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. And actually, oh, hello Zoom. Actually, Rob from Midnight's Edge pointed this out when we did watch this one together, and he was asking, okay, now how would have Picard asked Data about this? How would have they handled it? Picard would have asked Data, have there been any known instances of having any repositories of seeds where we might be able to find a cure for this? But then again, that would have been their mission that they would have been on, and not just shoving themselves into during a debriefing. And of course, Data would have been, you know what, let me look. And he would have looked it up, like, you know, somebody who's normal. No. Michael Burnham is just treated like she has all of the knowledge in her head at all times, except when she doesn't, because the plot says so. This is a lot of that script says so stuff. So... This is one of these things with Star Trek that I've noticed. It feels like there's a shit ton of reshoots where they had to kind of insert these pickup scenes where they made sure to tell the audience that Saru was the captain. Because I remember last year at Star Trek Las Vegas, they were acting like Sonequa Martin Green was, oh, she is the leader. She's our captain. She's our leader. Like they were going to just make her captain. Maybe people complained and they're like, yeah, nobody is ever going to watch this show. Even the Star Trek fans, even the New Trek fans are not going to watch this if you make her captain ahead of Saru. Because Saru out-fucking-ranked her. He did beforehand anyway, before she went and committed mutiny and got deranked. Oh, but she got it forgiven. She got a rank back because, you know, all you had to do was just say, oopsie, after starting a Klingon war and assaulting your captain and committing mutiny. Gonna commit another one in this one. I lost track of how many mutinies she's committed over the years. So we end up going to this planet with her in charge as captain. Now they are trying to include more characters that are not just her. So we do have like the security chief having a few lines and some character development. We have the Dr. Wilson Cruz, other token gay. I can't remember his name. Culber. The guy's a dick in real life, but I'm not hating the character so much. I like Stamets a whole lot more, but he's just kind of pissy anyway. He just reminds me of like every gay friend I've ever had, so I kind of like him a little bit more. This is where we get this scene where the observer from, because they send an observer along too from this space station, where this observer chick is like, you guys are all snotty to each other and horrible. How do you guys get anything done? You're horrible. Oh, we make it work. No, you don't. No, you don't. You're off-putting and unlikable. Oh, and Jet Reno's in this, Tig Notaro as rude, condescending female gay. Because that's what they're being used as. That's what we're being used as. And you know, I know I'm just the bi in the alphabet because I don't count anymore. And Burnham did not go to Starfleet Academy. She did not. She went to the Vulcan one, the Vulcan Science Academy. I'm knocking my juice down. So we get to this giant, it's like a ship. Is it a ship or a planet? Anyway, I forgot which one it was. Where we have these seeds. All of the seeds are all stored in this thing. And there's supposed to be a family of this specific race that is the same race as our security officer that came over from season 2 from the Enterprise, who has this breather. And then we find out, oh, I can breathe normal air. I don't need the breather over here. But then everybody else does, but then they all take the breather off because for whatever reason, I guess they didn't want to keep CGIing this giant CGI helmet on top of the actors for the whole scene. That's what it really felt like. So completely pointless scene about the breather shit that nobody even cared about if they're just going to take the damn thing off. And we find out that this guy and his family, who are of the same race as our security chief, which I can't remember the name of or any of that shit, his family have passed. And he's keeping them in stasis, right? So he's keeping them in stasis even though they're all dead. So he's got a wife and a kid and whatever. He is out of shift and out of phase because, hey, remember when they did it with Ro and Jordy?
Remember Chewbacca again? Oh, I love to remember.
I don't know where the hell Saru was. I guess he was back with the guy whose accent I was trying to place through the whole time. And I'll tell you who it is at the very end of the video because you guys will probably know anyway. I'm sure I'll put the picture up when I edit this. Where was I? Oh yeah, they're on this little planet. They figure out that the guy had transported during a solar flare, causing him to shift and phase out of sort of slightly out of time, but you could still see him and interact with him, so it wasn't quite like Jordy and Ro on Next Generation where they were just slightly out of phase. It wasn't quite like that. And then they figured they had to like teleport him to make it stop, and then he had this whole huge weird flashback stuff, and he was like just not there anymore because reasons. It was just such a bad, boring episode. And I guess they got the seeds and saved the day. I think I sort of stopped paying attention halfway through because it was really, really boring and dull. Everybody in this show says the most slow, boring, whispery dialogue, and they take everything they say so damn seriously. I think maybe that's why I like the natter between like Stamets and Tilly and Jet Reno a little bit more, because at least they speak quicker. I'm Michael Burnham and I love you and I'm the bestest Michael Burnham ever. Michael Burnham, you must do this thing that is so important through all of the galaxy. Oh yes, but Saru, if I go, then I'll never see you again and I might... It's just so boring, and they all speak like that. It is all this whisper trek. It is the CW of Star Trek. It is so bad. It's not getting any better either. I think it's because these actors, some of these actors they have are garbage. Sonequa Martin Green is terrible. I'll just say it. She's a terrible actress. I don't get why she's so great. I mean, I get that she's petite and fits into a costume really well, and she just shows up on time and seems sweet behind the scenes. But man, she's not a good actress. It's either she's not a good actress or they're not good directors. They might not be very good directors, but we've had Jonathan Frakes direct a couple of these. He was okay. He directed First Contact anyway. But it's all this, oh, and this is the most important thing ever. We need to save these people. Oh, but what if we don't save these people? What can we do? Oh, he's got to come to that himself. It's all whisper acting like it's the most dramatic thing ever. Everybody speaks like that in these dramatic scenes. Oh, it's so annoying. They're terrible. They're all dumb in the future. They are. They're all just dumb and stupid and...
This is the power of math, people!
It is like they gave all the people who really, really shouldn't have passed Starfleet Academy positions on a starship. Do you guys remember there's an episode of Scrubs? There's an episode of Scrubs where we find a former doctor making pretty much more money working as a barista because he failed. Medicine was not his thing. He was not good enough. He could not do the job. He didn't have the stomach for it. He didn't have the constitution. You need a certain sort of person to be able to be put into a life and death military starship situation where your entire crew relies on you to keep your head and do your job. And if you can't do it, there is no, oh yes, but we didn't want to hurt her feelings shit. That is not how real life works. You kind of have to not take the shit when it comes to something that is actually important, you know, when it actually is a life and death military situation where the rest of your crew or your ship will be compromised because you're scared or sad or have the munchies or want to not be there because or when or because you're offended by something. then you're going to have some really, really serious consequences potentially if you fuck up. Don't fuck up. Why am I snapping? I have a writing crop. Don't fuck up. And they don't understand that. But yes, we have the writing crop of doom. What the fuck am I doing? I'm dressed up in devil horns with a writing crop on YouTube, yelling about Star Trek. Why can't Star Trek just be good? She wonders.
Sheer fucking hubris.
But yeah, that's all I really have to say. Oh, and by the time I got to the end of it, at the end credits, I finally figured out who the actor was. And I'm like, what is his accent? Is he French? Is he French-Canadian? Who is this? Well, he's not French. Is he Spanish? He kind of looks Spanish. Who is he? He looks so familiar. It's the guy from The Mummy. It was the Magi from the freaking Mummy. The guy who was in Deuce Bigelow, Male Gigolo. That guy. I'm like, oh, I didn't recognize him because now he's, well, of course he's older. He doesn't have like the long dark hair like he used to. It's still him. He's still a good actor. We're probably never going to see him again. Maybe one more episode of this Admiral, but this show, Star Trek, do better. Do better. This episode is a 2 out of 10. It is a 2 out of 10 because you can't do any better. These are not any better than the bad Enterprise episodes. That's as good as this is going to get. The best of Discovery is going to be like a bad Enterprise episode. And there's a lot of bad Enterprise episodes. And there's a lot of good Enterprise episodes in season 4 that we finally got into. And we finally got into the augments stuff. And we finally got into the Andorian stuff. And we were finally getting into explaining why the Klingons had 4 head ridges and some of them didn't. We finally got into all that stuff in Enterprise. And then they had to cancel it. Thanks, Les Moonves. Really, really. And now we have this shit. And it's not getting any better. They're not capable of doing better. It feels like when I go in and rip on this, it feels like they're just not capable. It's like asking your cat to do your taxes and getting mad at him that he can't. Right? Well, first off, I would never ask a cat to do taxes. They're clearly more into, changing oil and things like that. So that's what you want to let your cat do for you. Don't do that. It's a joke. I'm kidding. Never let your cat change your oil. But that's what it feels like. It feels like I am yelling at people who have no idea what I'm saying, right? It feels like when I complain about Discovery, about the writing or the lack of intelligence or the lack of integrity or the lack of anything that makes sense even within its own canon.
Excellent!
It's like they're not even aware of it. They're like, oh, but the Voyager, don't you remember the Voyager? I'm like, yes, I remember the Voyager, but the characters on the show wouldn't. They wouldn't know. They wouldn't even know what V'ger is. Because the motion picture doesn't even take place at the time that they're, lived through in their story, in their internal canon. Matthew Hooker, they canceled Enterprise when they had more viewers than STD. Thank you so much. £5 super chat. Really, really appreciate it. We need more member berries. We always need more member berries.
Yeah. Remember Alex?
And they can't do any better. I am going back to my live chat. Yeah, 2 out of 10. Do better, but we know they can't. I am not going anywhere. Where's my end card? Who knows?
Just see people.
Good enough.
I just play people.
Drop the taco, get the car.
Thanks for watching. If you liked it, make sure to hit that like button. And if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye!
I might be angry about it. I'm supportive. I'm so supportive.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Damn.
Smoke weed every day.